welcome to Kelly's Wordy Reactions. All right, so I'm about to get into this article, and the article was put out by ABC News, and it is entitled Obamacare Enrollee Sees Premium Spike Over 300% as Sign-Up Period Begins. And then in quotes, "This will devastate us." So this was an article that was posted November 1st, 2025. And as we all know, we're still in this government shutdown. And there's been a lot of debate over why we're in the government shutdown. So I'm also going to go over some points from ChatGPT, because GPT will pull from a lot of different sources to consolidate the answers that you're looking for. And there are like nonpartisan news and media and journalists and journalism. So that's what I'm hoping to get the most of, because when you're looking for the correct information as to what's going on, you have to realize that there is a lot of propaganda in the media today. And probably always has been, but these days are special kind of days, and there is a lot of propaganda. And so if you want to really know what's going on, then you want to get the real information. You don't want a bunch of fluff from whoever's perspective. You just want the real information. So let's go ahead and get into this article and hear from somebody who's actually, or some people, probably more than one person, but some people that are actually experiencing the effects of the lack of the tax credits being added to the affordable care health plans. So, and yes, Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. For most people, I think, well, I don't know. I don't know if most people know that or not. Some people absolutely were not aware of that. So let's get into the article. Stacey Cox used one word repeatedly as she described how she felt after learning her ACA premium could jump over 300% without the enhanced tax credits. Devastating. Okay, good. And then she says, "I don't know if I've ever cried opening a letter from an insurance before. From an insurance or before." I don't think they worded that properly. But she says, "I don't know if I've ever cried opening a letter from insurance before, but it happened this time," she told ABC News. Hello, if you're just coming in. Hello, if you're just coming in. Thanks for stopping by. All right. So she says, they say Cox's premium this year has been $495.32 for coverage for her and her husband. So I'm thinking this is $495 a month, pretty much. And then without the credit in 2026, she was informed that it's increasing to $2,168.68. So her health premiums are going to, hold on. Y'all go ahead and subscribe to the channel, why don't you? Let's see. All right, become a subscriber. Anyway, so their premium is going up from around about $500, looks like a month, to over $2,000 a month. So she says it's devastating because we can't afford that. She said, just that bill right there, that's more than our mortgage, our insurance, most of our food. That's what we're paying per month to live. We can't afford to double what it costs for us to live just to have health insurance. So, and then she goes on to say this will devastate us if we try to pay it. All right, millions across the country are discovering just how much their plan will cost as open enrollment for Affordable Care Act insurance plans began on November 1st. Enrollment lasts through January 15th, 2025. So the open enrollment period started November 1st. Everybody got their letters to say how much more they're going to be paying without the tax credits. And they have until January 15th to make those decisions. Let's see. A recent analysis from, who is KFF? A recent analysis from KFF found that if the enhanced premium tax credits expire, as they are currently set to do on December 31st, ACA enrollees will see their monthly premiums more than double, rising by roughly 114% on average. An estimated 22 million out of 24 million ACA marketplace enrollees are currently receiving a tax credit to lower their monthly premiums. Even if those credits are extended, KFF found that the amount insurers charge for ACA premiums will rise by an average of 26% in 2026. Okay, so that's interesting. So the amount is going up anyway that the insurers are charging. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so the amount is going up that the insurers are charging by an average of 26%. And then on top of that, the big beautiful bill actually removed the tax credit help, the tax credit subsidy. So they stopped subsidizing with the tax credits. So now people are facing the upcharge from the insurance companies, as well as the upcharge from the insurance company, and then as well as the big beautiful bill taking away the subsidies. So this is part and parcel as to why the government is shut down. Because if we can't come together, the two party sides, if we can't come together and get an agreement on some things, and most specifically these tax subsidies being added back in so that people are not facing all of these super high health insurance charges, millions of people are going to be out of health insurance. So, all right, because they're simply not going to be able to afford it. It's not that they'll be automatically kicked off or anything, but the fact that if you were paying $500 a month and then now everything goes up to $2,000 a month, and that varies depending upon what company people are with. Yeah, how is anybody expected to deal with that type of an upcharge? So the current government shutdown has hinged on Democrats and Republicans' positions on ACA subsidies or premium tax credits, which help lower or eliminate the out-of-pocket cost of monthly premiums for those who purchase insurance through the health insurance marketplace. And from what I understand, this is not limited to the health marketplace. This is also just insurance, even employer-based insurance. If we're seeing these types of rate hikes and the subsidies are gone, this could also impact people's employer health insurance as well. Let's see. Okay. All right, so the subsidies are currently set to expire at the end of at the end of 2025. Democrats have been demanding Republicans pass extensions of the subsidies before the government is reopened, while the GOP says it won't negotiate until a clean funding bill passes and the government reopens. Let's go over that again. The subsidies are currently set to expire at the end of 2025. Democrats have been demanding Republicans pass extensions of the subsidies before the government is reopened, while the GOP says it won't negotiate until a clean funding bill passes and the government reopens. All right, so back to this one lady, back to this lady and her story. For Cox and her husband, who live in Kanab, Utah, even if the tax credits were to be extended, they'd still see the premium increase to $753.68. So once again, because the insurance companies themselves are going up an average of 26%. So they're saying that she's, even with the subsidies, they're still gonna be up like 200, that's $250, man. An extra $250 for a month for her and her husband's health insurance. It would be a hit to their budget, but one they would take to keep insurance. So Miss Cox, whoever she is, she's saying that, she would still have to pay that extra $250, but paying an extra, what's that, $1,600 is it's outrageous. Okay. It's already going to be hard for us, she's saying this in quotes, to have a 52% increase on our premium, but if the credits are extended, she said, but that's if the credits are extended, sorry. But we will do it so that we can have the health coverage. And then Cox, who's 48, is at high risk for breast cancer, has a mammogram every year and a fast breast MRI yearly as well. Cox is a professional photographer, and she and her husband, who's 55, have been enrolled in Obamacare or Affordable Care since 2022. Having access to health care through the ACA is what gave her the motivation to quit her previous job and pursue her passion of photography, she said. For now, she's holding on to the hope that the tax credits are extended and will enroll in her plan so she doesn't miss open enrollment. But she's ready to cancel it before the start of the new year if they aren't. Then Beth Dreyer is realizing she is in a similar position if the tax credit isn't extended. She says she will have no other option than to cancel it altogether. Dreyer from Norfolk, Virginia, is the executive director at 757 Creative Reuse Center, a nonprofit art supply store. She a nonprofit art supply store, and in 2015 she was paying just shy of $80 for her premium. So that must have been like one single person. She hadn't looked up her 2026 options until speaking to ABC News on Thursday, and the spike was shocking. Oh wow. So she looked at her, uh-oh, my stand is shaking. She looked to see, hey Kat, how are you? Thank you. Yes, I've been trying to decide on this for a while, so I finally just went for it. So yeah, so she's talking to ABC News, and she looked to see what her increase was going to be. And so let's see if she found out exactly what it was. Okay, so she hadn't looked. All right, so then in quotes, this says, I now have to have an advanced premium tax credit of $0. So it looks like I have no tax credit for this so far next year, she said, reading from the enrollment site. Okay, so it looks like the same plan that I have this year would now be $425.03 a month next year, which is completely out of my budget. So she went from paying $80 a month to now, without those tax credits, $425.03 a month for her one person health insurance premium per month. And then it goes on to say, I thought maybe it would double, but this is more than quadrupled in cost for me, she continued. So it's just straight out. There's no way I would be able to afford this next year. Dreyer, a Democrat, said she realizes lawmakers are stuck between a rock and a hard place, but her message to them is to, in quote, get your stuff together and look at what you're doing to the people of this country. And then in quotes, the Republicans aren't going to budge on the tax credits, and they're happy to watch people die. I mean, that's essentially what it is, she said. You cut these tax credits, people are dying. People are already dying because they don't have quality health care. People are already dying because they have food insecurity. And then back to Cox. Cox said she and her husband will have to start their own savings account for medical costs if they cancel. And then, oh, I forgot I can't touch this because it keeps rocking. Okay. And then she said, we will just create our own health savings, which is we were able to cover. That doesn't make sense. Maybe she meant to say, which is how we were able to cover $500 per month for our health premium. And so we will take $500 and we will put it into savings every month so that if something does occur when we do need to go to the doctor, and there's at least something, some sort of cushion as we try to cover this on our own, she said. But see, one of the problems with this is that this is going to affect a lot of things, especially like the Medicare money, like the money that goes into Medicare to fund certain types of healthcare facilities. So a lot of different clinics and just, a lot of things. So I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to play out. One would hope that we could eventually get the subsidies back, but yeah, I don't know. I hate to be pessimistic, so I'm just gonna I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of pessimism. Um, so anyway, Cox said, although the health system may not be great, it's actually functioning. It's actually a functioning system that allows her family to at least have a health plan. With these tax credits being a sticking point in this shutdown, Cox wants Congress to extend the credits while you work on reform. And then she goes on to say, this system can absolutely be improved, but don't make us suffer while you figure it out. That's what I would say. Don't make me live without health insurance while you guys figure out a better plan, she said. We have a plan. That's not the greatest plan, but it's a functioning plan. Let us rely on this functioning plan until there's something better. Don't take my house from me just because you say you're building me a new one. Thank you. She, well said. And she'd also tell lawmakers, you have health care. Why not extend that to me? So, that's what I have to say. So yeah, I said in the beginning that I had asked Chat GPT. I'm gonna have to look up what does GPT stand for. I asked, what are the reasons that the Democrats won't sign the continuing resolution? All right. Hopefully, this is the unbiased opinion from Chat GPT. Here are some of the key reasons analysts and Democratic lawmakers have given for why Democrats are refusing or hesitating to support the certain continuing resolution proposed by Republicans in the current funding standoff. Okay. Number one, cuts or changes to healthcare programs. We just went over that. And I think they did a good job of talking about that. Number two, policy riders or partisan provisions. Although some versions are called clean CRs, minimal changes, Democrats argue that the proposals in question will embed partisan policy decisions or allow I really need to put on my reading glasses. Okay, or allow executive discretion in ways they oppose. Okay, number three, lack of bipartisan negotiation. Democrats claim that Republicans are pushing the CR without sufficient negotiation or input from the Democratic lawmakers, particularly from the appropriations committees. They argue that funding decisions are being rushed or imposed without collaboration. Number four, protecting social safety net programs. They are using the CR to leverage to demand protections for social programs for low-income families, healthcare, benefits, etc. They see the CR process as a moment to defend these safety nets. Number five, political leverage. Democrats seem to believe they can use the CR standoff to leverage to force Republicans to agree to more favorable terms, especially on health care. The threat of a shutdown becomes a bargaining chip. Number six, long versus short extension preference. Some Democrats want a shorter extension rather than a long one. They have argued for a shorter timeline so that the final appropriations bill can be negotiated more fully. They consider long CRs as deferring too many decisions without accountability. Number seven, concerns about executive power and spending discretion. Some Democratic lawmakers have warned that the CR gives too much leeway to the executive branch to direct or reshape programs without transparency. They see it as opening the door to slush funds or shifts in spending authority that are not well controlled. Number eight, base constituent pressure. More progressive or left-leaning members of the party and their constituencies pressure Democrats to hold firm, especially on health care or social spending, so they can't appear to accept cuts. Supporting a CR that omits key policy priorities could alienate that base. Okay, so dealing with their bases. Number 9, standing on principle. Democrats present their refusal as aligning with their principles, not abandoning programs for vulnerable populations. They frame it not as mere obstruction, but as refusing to agree to reductions or changes they disagree with. And then finally, number 10, strategic messaging, political optics. By rejecting the CR, Democrats can frame the fight as Republicans attempting to cut health care or social benefits. It allows them to make a political argument to voters that the party is defending people rather than giving in, defending the people rather than giving in. Okay, so the question that I asked was, what are the reasons the Democrats won't sign the continuing resolution? So I asked that specific question. Those are the answers that I got from ChatGPT, which pulls from a lot of different sources to get its answers. So that hopefully I can get, the most non-biased answers possible. All right, well, thank you so much for stopping in. I just wanted to talk a little bit about why we're still in this shutdown, as people are seeing why there's a holdout, and, why both of the parties need to come together and talk this through and hopefully get some agreement and resolution to these issues, so that, and especially so that people can get the tax credits, so that we can, they can continue their health care. Because it's just, it's not going to be good for anybody with millions of people not being able to afford that health care. And it's already creeping up into the unaffordable, with the companies charging more on an average of 26%. But as we saw from the second person that was featured in that article, she's going to go from paying $80 a month to $425 a month. So she's on the high end of that average, because that's well over 26% for her. So, well, so she said what it would be if she didn't get the subsidy. She didn't say what hers would be if she did get the subsidy. So we don't really know for her if hers went up over 26%. Okay, so, but the other ladies did go up over 26%. So even if the subsidies come back, the one person that was featured in the article first, Cox, her premium is still going from $500 to $753 a month. So that's still unreasonable. But like she said, that's something that she would at least, she would still have to pay and be willing to pay. But without that, and if there's no subsidies, paying over $2,000 a month, it's just, people won't be able to do it, and people will, really, really suffer. So many people are on some type of medication or another. You have to go to the doctor to get your prescriptions, and and then a lot of times your prescriptions become more affordable with your health plan. So it's just a lot. It's a lot, but anyway, trying to keep up with what's going on. So that's what's going on from that angle. I thank you all for stopping in. And thank you, Kat, if you're still here. I appreciate it. I'm still trying to get used to my my short haircut. But I like it for the most part. Anyway, I will see you all on the next one. Bye-bye.